else feel the same way? I'm trying to hurry. I was telling someone, another pastor today, I'm like, trying to come up with something inspirational so that when we get through this, we'll have some more inspirational type messages because they're so internally intense that it can be exhausting. Okay, and so, but we're gonna get through it. We're going to get through it, and so we're gonna go ahead and tackle another part of this book, and it is really, I think it's the essence of the book itself. And one of the questions it asks is, let me see, hold on, had it right here. Where are you? I just had you. Well, hate when that happens. Is this offending anybody? Oh boy. Um, well, now I think I was just on the page of it. Yeah. How to handle unfair treatment. How to handle unfair treatment. Because when we are treated unfairly or unjustly, or when we believe that we are treated unfairly or unjustly, the tendency then is to get offended. So if we get to the root of it, is okay, if I'm treated unfairly, what should I do? What do, when you're treated unfairly, what do most people do? Most people. In how? Verbally. They say what? No, I mean if you got treated unfairly, that's not fair. And fairness then is based upon their ideal of what is fair and what is just. Once again, going back to that scripture that says, and every man did what was right in their own eyesight. So, because what someone will say, that's not fair, you might say, wait a minute, I think that was a fair. You didn't do this and so, and she did what she was supposed to do, so she got rewarded and you didn't, especially when you're dealing with kids. That's not fair. Why you give them that? Well, because you was over there playing around. And if truth be told, even as adults, there are some times when we are treated unfairly, and from our point of view, that's not fair. Until we look and we see, oh, there was a law, there was a statute, there was, something that was set in place, and we just didn't know about it. There was a rule. Then there are times when we are treated unfairly, rightly treated unfairly, and so then the response now is to defend ourselves. And most of us defend ourselves anyway. What are some of the ways that we defend ourselves? What are some of the defense mechanisms that we use when we feel that, oh man, I'm take offense. I was treated unfairly. Can someone give me an example? So then you just take matters into your own hands as a defense mechanism. Someone else got one? What else? Blame somebody else. Blame game. Yes. Anybody else in another one? Take it out on someone else. Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we? In schools. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a little boy just drop kick a little boy in the chest. And he had nothing to do with what was going on. He was just walking by. And the little boy just, boom. Yeah. How about this one? Using humor, telling a joke. See if you can get somebody to laugh. But you're offended, so you wanna as a defense mechanism, you try to make a funny. Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely at someone's. For sure. At someone's expense, and sometimes not, but most of the time it is at someone else's expense. Yes. Yeah. What kind of unfair treatment is the most difficult for you to deal with? Well, so I mean, if someone treats you unfairly, what is the most difficult type of unfair treatment that is difficult for you personally to deal with? To ignore you. Lie. He said lies. Don't lie to me. Don't lie on me. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else got one? Being set up for failure. Yeah. Miss Lee? It's racism? Yeah, either way. Yeah, when you see it, yeah. Uh, Now, when you look at those things, I want you to just kind of figure out why does that, why does that, why is it that lying is difficult for you to deal with? Why is it that being lied on is difficult to deal with? Do you want to just go through the whys? Why does that bother me? Why does that particular thing, that particular area, unfair treatment, get to me when I'm ignored? Yeah, that's true. That's true. It does make you offended, right? So when you feel mistreated, when you feel treated unjustly, your first reaction is to defend yourself. Am I fair in assuming that? And your first reaction is to feel some kind of way, right? But then do you reconsider how you're going to respond to unfair treatment? Or, I mean, do you let it go? Or do you sort of like put it in a closet, which is really harboring it? But, or do you go and rehearse it to someone else? What do you do when you're treated unfairly and it's difficult for you to deal with? How do you do that? I know Ray had one. I just jump right in on her. The most difficult unfair treatment it is for you to deal with. We got lied on, lied to, ignored. What was yours, Ms. Lee? Oh, racism. I think yours was ignore when it's your turn. Ray had that one. When it's my turn, you got something else to do. This, oh right, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Right. Yeah, that's Miss Lee said, "Yep, that's it." Yeah, because that is a. Did you say that? Oh, okay. No. No. Yes. Yeah. And that is a form of racism that most people don't. I mean, most other cultures like have you guys ever experienced that? Not to pick on y'all, but have you ever experienced people following you around thinking that you're stealing? You have, yeah, yeah, yeah. It is the most uncomfortable feeling, right? It is because you're not there to steal. At least I hope you're not anyway. But to be now already being thought to be a thief, and then to be monitored that way, openly monitored. That's just like somebody breathing down your neck or looking over your shoulder or putting their fingers in your food or smelling your food or I know that'll get boy, April will come out of her skin if someone does that to her food. Yeah, those things are like and those are like to me they're minor, but if depending on your response to that, it could become a major issue. It could turn into a knockdown drag out, especially if the person feels like what are you so upset about? Uh, so these are ways that when we feel like we're treated unfairly, the whole idea in the book is how do I respond when I feel that I've been treated unfairly, or when I actually have been treated unfairly? What should be my response? Because now I'm on the edge. I'm teetering on that edge of being offended. Most likely, I'm going to be offended because I feel I've been treated unfairly. So now what do I do? What should be my response? What do I do? Do I say something about it? Uh, do I ignore it? How do I deal? Do I respond or do I react? Because those are two different things. If I react, it's not going to turn out too good. If I respond, we might have a chance. What does the Bible say we should do? What did Jesus say we should do? Here we go. Jesus, I love you, Jesus. I do. I love Jesus. What did he say? Turn the other cheek, which is the same thing. Well, now, here is the deal about the turn the other cheek. I think Io talked about it one time. Do you guys remember him talking about it? So, if somebody slaps you on the cheek, pow, and you turn the other cheek, it's all about the expectation that they are going to sin against you again. That's the whole impetus behind that little saying or that parable. Is like, if you offend me or if you sin against me, which is a slap on the cheek, Jesus said, expect it again. When you turn the other cheek, that's that expectation. It's like, okay, this person's going to keep doing this. What do you do? Well, how would you feel if I said nothing? Don't look at me with that tone of voice. She was looking at me so loud. Yeah, well, that's what Jesus said. To do, right, that's what he said. So, in other words, expect that person to mistreat you again. But what do I do? What is my response? What if I told you it's nothing? What if I told you it's to do nothing or say nothing? Fave. Think about it. Let me give you an example. I'll give you two examples. One example is King David. Before he was king, he served the king. He served Saul. He loved Saul. He loved Saul's daughter. He was married to Saul's daughter. Him and Saul's son was like buddies. They loved each other. They was thick as thieves. They had each other's back in battle. Okay, so he was like part of the family. You know, even though he was a son-in-law, he was still like part of the family. He was in. He loved Saul. Saul loved him, but then one day, Saul treated him unfairly and tried to kill him. And then set out to kill him. Chased him down to kill him. And then one day, David was able to sneak up on him. And his friend was right next to him. One of his mighty men. And he said, "Go on, kill him. You got him. Go ahead." David said, "No, I ain't gonna touch him. I ain't gonna touch." And then what he did was he cut a little piece of his skirt to let him know he had been there. And he felt bad about that. He felt bad about causing the king anxiety, knowing he was already unstable anyway. But he felt bad about cutting a little piece of his skirt, his robe or whatever, to let him know he had been there, that he could have killed him. He felt bad about informing the person, "I could have got you, but I didn't." See, most of us would have taken joy in that. You know I could have got you. You know I could have told on you. You know I could have messed all your finances up. You know that, right? Your credit and everything. I could have got you. You know I could have just scraped your car. You wouldn't have never known. Or I could have had somebody walk right by you and jug you and you wouldn't even know who they was. Just to let them know, I could have got you, but I didn't. Now, David took that as a sin. He said, he was sorry he even did that. And then Saul still came after him again. Again after that. And he had another opportunity to kill him again, and he didn't. And this time he didn't do nothing to him. And David was a man after God's own heart. Right. How many of us want to be after God's own heart? Well, you have that type of mindset of, I'm not going to do anything against someone who has treated me unfairly. Do you know why? Could you say that just a little bit louder?
Because God will take care of it.
How many of y'all believe that? Yeah. Y'all believe that? You believe God? You believe God will handle it? Some of y'all have been a witness of it, right? But yet still, every once in a while, if we can, we want to handle it first. Let me just handle it first. Then, God, you can take you can take over after that.
Sometimes we expect it right away. We expect God to take care of it within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. Can I go a little deeper? Can I go a little deeper? Now, God promised to take care of it. If I hold my peace, let the Lord fight my battle. Victory will be mine. So now I hold my peace. I don't say nothing. Person has just drug my name in the mud, lied on me, all that kind of stuff, but I don't say nothing. I let God handle them. And God chooses to handle them by blessing them, saving them, bringing them to Jesus, causing them to prosper, to repent in their mind. And here they are, millionaires, and you still struggling. And you like, God, I thought you was going to get them. But he did get them. He cleaned them up and turned them around. Are y'all okay with that one? Right, yeah, you don't know. You might save them as they go through. But we don't ever know. Let me give you an example. Now, would y'all be okay with God doing that? I mean, really. Saved and prosperous, and you'd be okay with that? All right then. So, everybody? I would have a hard time with it, but yes. Now, April joking, but I know of an incident where there was a young man who really, really offended us, our whole family, and she prayed for him and still prays for him today. Still, me, and guess what? Of course, I had to run up on him right one day, and he needed help. And who helped him out? I helped him. All the time thinking, I should just run you right off of this cliff. But I helped him and prayed with him and everything. Because there is another person in the Bible who had an opportunity to, and it was a whole group of people he didn't like, because they had offended him and his family and everything. And God told him, now I want you to go over there and I want you to preach and tell him about me. And he was like, I'm not doing that. They just might get saved. And I don't want to see them get saved. I want to see you put judgment on them. Send the fire down and burn them up. Infidels. Heathens. God said, no, I want you to go minister to them. I ain't going to minister to them. They don't deserve that. What, me? They done offended me. They offended my family. I'm not doing it. Guess what happened to her? Anybody know what happened to him? He got swallowed by a big, name is Jonah. He got swallowed by a big fish. And when the fish spit him out, guess where he landed? At the place where where God told him to go. See, sometimes God will cause a big fish to swallow you up. That big fish could be finances. That big fish could be a relationship that you don't really like or don't particularly care for. Person, ooh, God, help me, Lord, right here. A person that you don't like, and God is saying, You got to love them. You got to minister to them. You got to teach them the word. You got to pray for them. You got to intercede for them. You're like, nah, I want them far away. I don't want them nowhere close to me, nowhere close to my family. They need to be at a distance. Because if not, I might do something. And it ain't ministering. I'm just being honest with you. I'm telling you how I'm sharing a real emotion that I've had. And maybe some of you have had or are having. And God said, no, I want you to minister to that person. I want you to show them the way of the Lord. And you say no. So guess what? You get swallowed up by a big fish. Until you say, okay, all right, okay, I'll do it. And then that situation or that big fish spits you out. Like I said, it could be a financial situation. It could be a relationship situation. It could be all kind of sickness. And because you're not dealing with it what God says to deal with, that big fish has swallowed you. Until you have a change of mind and a change of heart, and then it will spit you out right where you're supposed to be in the first place. You could have saved yourself a whole lot of trouble. Could have saved yourself a whole lot of anguish. But because of offense, you went through all of that and still had to do what God told you to do. And that's how he gets some people back, by saving them. And then they got to serve. And they got to walk the straight and narrow. They got to go through some things in order to live, because now they've chosen to live for God. So now they got to forgive, and they got to go repent, and they got to get rid of that guilt and the shame of things that they've done. That's how he got me back. Because I was a booger. No, they would know. Yeah, they would. I tell you what, I'm having an issue with the leadership that God had placed over us in the past. And at this point, I'm really praying for that former leader, because he's about to really go through a whole. I remember I told you that one. Yeah, and then now we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I am. I'm praying for him that he don't lose his mind, because the pressure of everybody is out to get him. It's starting to circle in, and that could be overwhelming, especially when people that are close to you start to get further and further apart, and you start to feel alone, and no one to turn to, and the enemies are mounting up and surrounding. You could literally lose your mind. And so I'm praying for him. Not that I was ever a supporter. I was not. I can say that publicly, can I? Well, I did. But I do I'm growing to sympathize. I don't want to see him as a leader anymore. I don't think he's a good leader. In the sense of morals and those type of things. Now, as far as he is a good leader. So was Attila the Hun. He was a good leader. He got a lot of people followed him. So leadership qualities are there. It's just, what are you leading us to? So I just said that because I was offended by a lot of those things that were done and said, not only by him, but by a lot of his supporters. I was offended. I was offended what happened on January 6th, and people told me I didn't see what I saw. I'm like, I know what I saw. Well, and then you're going to tell me it was all state? Come on, man. You're insulting my intelligence. And it's not like I got a whole lot, but the little bit I got, you're insulting that. And so now I'm offended. And so I try not to I try not to say nothing about it. I'm like, okay, well, we'll just pray. But that's an example. That's another example of what do you do when you feel like you've been treated unfairly. And I can rehearse. I'll tell you one thing that a lot of us do, and I have to be very careful not to do this, and that is to rehearse it. When you rehearse it, it gets down in your spirit. When you rehearse it, it becomes a bitter pill. And bitterness begins to take form and root because you rehearse it. And see, what happens is, just like David had the man on the side of him saying, you should go and kill him. You got people that always ask you, well, what happened? Then you got to tell it again. And then somebody, well, tell them what happened. They know you already done told them what happened. Now they want you to tell somebody else what happened. So now you're rehearsing the story and you got it down. And every time you tell it, it drums up those negative emotions and feelings and thoughts about people. It is a trap. It is the bait. It is the bait. So now you got to figure out, how can I tell this story without feeling some kind of way? How can I tell the story accurately without experiencing the negative emotions that go along with it? How can I mention a person's name without feeling the negativity that is attached to their name? Y'all do know emotions are attached to your name, right? Y'all do? Yeah. If you don't, I'm letting you know, when your name is spoken, people feel a certain way about you. You don't have to be nowhere in the building. If I said a name like Michael, now, depending on which Michael I'm talking about, you'll have an emotional response. If I said Michael Jordan, some of y'all would have an emotion, some of y'all wouldn't. If I said Michael Jackson, you would be a different response because there's an emotion attached to that person's name based upon your perception of them or your interaction with them. And then there's some more Michaels you don't even want to talk about. If I said their name, you hope they don't ever come in that door. I don't know too many Michaels like that, but I know some other names. You know, unless you have a real unique name. like Rayella. When I say Rayella, I just be like, yay, the queen. Some people say Rayella and they don't feel that way. I don't know them. I don't know who they are, but I'm sure there's some. I'm sure. I'm sure some people don't like to hear my name. They say David Kyle, they be like, oh, what? Not him. Not him. So, you've been treated unjustly. You've been treated unfairly. Whatever that pet peeve is. Somebody done talked about you. Somebody insulted your intelligence. Somebody made you feel less than. And you defend yourself because guess what? You have to be right. You can't be wrong. Do you know anybody like that? They just always got to be right. You do? I don't want no names. Do you know someone that no matter what the discussion is, they always have to retort? Not necessarily have the last word, they just have to have the best word. They have to have the right word. Because most of the time, they're going to have the right word, and that's that, no matter what you say after that. So do you know someone that they just have to be right all the time? They can't be wrong. Do you know somebody? You don't know nobody. Because if you don't know nobody, chances are that person is you. I was wrong once, back in 1980 something. I was that person. I always got to be right. I can't stand nobody lying on me, saying I did something that I didn't do. I will lose my mind. I get in trouble enough for the things I did. Yeah. Don't just make something up and then blame me for it. That's really that when I was coming up, that was it. That would make me completely lose it. Why little David? Because somebody said he did something that he didn't do, which usually meant it was going to end in a whooping. When I was already going to get a whooping for the stuff that I did. So when I got blamed for something I didn't do, and that became a fortress, that became a stronghold in my mind. So now there's a defense mechanism. Don't blame me for something I didn't do. Now I want to fight. I want God to get them something. Let them fall into a ditch. I don't care. Just stop their mouth. And you know you can pray those prayers. They're actually in the Bible. Did y'all know that? You can pray, Lord, shut their jaws. Cause their jaws to lock. Yeah, I prayed that a couple times. Because they was lying on me. But that is not the proper response as believers. Because, truth be told, you can lie on me and say stuff about me, and still you won't be able to tell the worst about me. Did y'all hear that one? You can say all kinds of things about me and still never say, and still never know the worst about me. And so then it causes us to have to operate in what is known as meekness. Meekness, the fruit of the Spirit, characteristic of Jesus. He said, blessed are the meek, because they shall what? Inherit the earth. The meek, are you the meek? I didn't say the weak. Because it takes a strong person to take an onslaught of negativity and do nothing. Can I say that again? See, some people think, I ain't going to take no more. They try to take my meekness for weakness. I got to say something. At least look at them crazy. I won't say nothing. I'll hold my mouth, but ooh-wee, what's going on inside of me and inside of me? And then I'll just give them that look to let them know I'm having a conversation on the inside about you. That's not meekness. I've said this before, and I want to say this again. Meekness commands divine intervention. Meekness commands divine intervention. When you hold your peace and you exhibit meekness, it ignites God to move on your behalf. He steps in your situation. Now, when he does it and what he does, that's his business. Our responsibility is to move into an area of meekness, strength under control. Yeah, you came against me, but I'm going to let it slide this time. Bless you. And I really mean it. God bless you. You go right ahead. You need something else? You need anything from me? See, that's meekness. That's meekness. And we want to look at it as we being run over or misused and abused, and it is a way. But what we're doing is we're setting a person up to have that millstone tied around their neck. Now, do I really want that person cast into the sea? Do I really want them to go through the vengeance of God? Because the Bible says it is a fearful thing for a man to fall into the hands of an angry God. When God wants to exact vengeance on my enemies, do I really want him to do that? Because he knows how to, what was that thing we saw? I think it was on Facebook. It said God knows how to hit harder than I do or something like that. It was something, huh? So I'm not going to hit back because God can hit harder than I can. But do we really want him to hit that person? Because if he do, all bets off what he might do to them. He might save them, but they might be limping for the rest of their life. He might save them, and they might have to deal with a terminal disease. He might cause them to have a soft heart, but they'll be lonely. Oh, yeah, he can do it. And so now we got to pray, Lord, I'm going to be meek. I know you said you're going to, that vengeance is yours, but could you have mercy upon them? Could you just have a little mercy on them? I know you're going to get them, but be gentle with them. You know, protect me, because I'm trusting you to protect me. I'm going to come out okay. But don't be so hard on them. Just, have mercy on them. Could you pray that prayer? How many of you have somebody right now that you feel God needs to handle? God needs to deal with them, and God needs to move them or remove them. Are you praying for them? Because if you feel that God needs to move them or remove them, maybe you've been offended by them. And you want to see some action. Are you praying for them? Ask God to have mercy upon them. Ask God to bless them. I let that simmer for a minute. I've had to do that several times, and it takes practice. I must say, it takes practice to bless those who curse you, to pray for your enemies, to pray for those that despitefully misuse you. That takes practice. That means you're going to get people who curse you. Your enemies are going to rise up against you. You're going to have people that despitefully misuse you so that you can practice. Yeah. I'm laughing because I've had to do it and probably will continue to do it. But I want you all to experience the experience of having to bless those that curse you, having to pray for those that despitefully misuse you, and pray for your enemies and all those type of things. That experience, that, because he says, if you want to be perfect, even as your Father, maybe some of y'all don't want to be perfect. Maybe you just, after all, I'm only human. There's been no perfect man, and you're okay with that. Yeah. Yeah. People. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah. People too. Yeah. Because you might not be the only one. All right. Yeah. I've done that. I've stood at people's deathbed that have mistreated me and others, and prayed for them, knowing that most likely they're there because of how they've treated people, and really had compassion upon them. Saying, why didn't you just change instead of, you brought this on yourself? I didn't do that. That probably was my first reaction, and then I was like, oh no, they didn't deserve to go out like that. They didn't deserve to have to suffer like that. I'm good. God took care of me. God brought me back from what they did. Whatever they did, the injury that they caused, God took care of that. He gave me double for my trouble. They shouldn't have to go through that kind of suffering. See this? So now, to consider that, when you are offended, you got to be quick to forgive. Because now what we're saying is, don't retaliate. Vengeance is God's. He's going to repay. And a lot of times, how we respond to that offense may be how he measures what he's going to repay. We could very well help them by saying, God, okay, like I said, have mercy upon them. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Several years ago, I was in an IIT meeting, one of those high-profile ones,
Mm.
and the district office were there. There were two psychologists, and a whole army of people were there. And the woman from the district office, in the middle of the meeting, ripped me apart about the IEP. She said it was all wrong, that this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, that it was all, that wasn't done right, and it was all these things. And I mean, I had nothing, I didn't have anything to say. I was really hurt, and I was shocked and everything, by it, but I just kept the meeting, kept on going. So I basically was a facilitator of the meeting, so I just kind of had to keep things going and everything. And, so it just didn't, just kind of tried to, just kind of take it in stride and just sort of keep things moving. And it did keep moving. We did get through the meeting and things did go. But after the meeting, I got emails from each of the two psychologists saying that they thought that my IEP was one of the better ones that they ever seen, and that they really appreciated that I didn't, that we just kind of kept things going and everything. I didn't retaliate to this. Well, she was above me anyway. I couldn't say anything, but I was just like so really, it ended up, she was the one in the meeting that ended up looking bad. It wasn't me. I didn't end up looking bad in the meeting. I felt good about that. And but 2 months later, then this woman who had wronged me in the meeting, she publicly acknowledged in one of our joint sessions that there was they'd been going over certain IEPs and some state people had picked out one they thought was a little exemplary, and it was one that I had done, and she gave me an award for that. So I thought, okay, so it's like, whoa, all right.
Right.
But it's like, it was a really horrible moment for a moment, because I just really, I felt hurt, I felt shocked, I felt like, everything. But I just did my best to try to forgive and try to keep going, and the Lord rewarded the whole situation and just turned things around.
It's interesting. Forgiveness now, and I'm going to end it with this and then prepare you for next week. Forgiveness is definitely for you, okay? When you forgive somebody, that's for you. And that's a blessing that you get. And because you forgive, you get a double blessing. But also, when you forgive someone and you make that sacrifice, it's also a blessing to them. Think about it. Jesus forgave. And because he forgave and sacrificed, God now forgives us and blesses us. Because he just could easily say, Father, get him. Right? He told them that when he was at the trial. He said, if I wanted to, I got a legion of angels. Just waiting. I can call them right now. But he didn't. He operated in meekness, and because of that meekness, we get to receive the benefits of his meekness. God blessing us, because we were enemies to God. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were not thinking about him and doing our own thing, he paid the price for us. And so the last thing I want to talk to you about, and as we can prepare for next week, I probably will deal with this Sunday, is this other chapter and it says, the chapter is called Guard Your Mouth. There's 7 things that God hates. Does anybody know what they are? Lying tongue is one. Haughtiness or pride, yeah. Yeah, anybody know what that is? I think it's in Proverbs 18 or somewhere around here, 18 or 19. It says there are 6 things that God hates, even 7. I think it's Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6. I want you to just take a look at it real quick. Anybody have it? Proverbs 6:16. Yeah, what did it say?
These 16 doth the Lord hate. Ways that are an abomination unto him.
Mm-hmm.
A proud look,
A proud look. That the only one? Yeah, I want them all. 'Cause I want to show you something. He hates a proud look, a lying tongue,
hands that shed innocent blood,
hands that shed innocent blood,
a heart that is divisive,
a heart that is divisive,
a heart that divides its wicked
a
imaginations.
heart that divides its wicked imaginations. Devise. Oh, thinks. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Feet that are
Feet that are swift to run into mischief. A false witness that speaketh lies. And he that soweth discord among the brethren. Is that all of them? So 3 of them have to deal with your mouth. 3 out of the 7. Now, well, I'm going to leave it like that. Because while many Christians today consider adultery as major issues, they see things like gossip and slander as minor, even justifiable. But those things come with your mouth. We are watching a program. We were encouraged to watch a program this week. It's called Honk If You Love Jesus, something like that. Honk for Jesus. Anybody see that program? You saw it? Honk for Jesus. Yeah, so it was on Peacock. And I had mixed emotions about it at first, because it took me a while to try to figure out what is going on here. It's about a couple, a pastor and his wife, who had a big mega church, 20,000 members. And they didn't really say in the beginning what happened. Kind of alluded to some things, but you didn't know really what happened. And then they were down to 5 members. 5 members. Now, first of all, can you imagine if you have a ministry of 20,000, what it takes to run that kind of ministry? It's a business. You got all kind of staff members, property, people caring for the property, and to make a mistake and boom, everybody leaves, except for the faithful 5. And 2 of those 5 don't have a job, probably. So they're trying to figure out, how can we make a comeback? How can we make a comeback? And the whole movie is about them trying to make a comeback. And I'm telling you, when it comes to the church, not too many people come back. Not too many come, because the church is really hard on, especially leaders, religious leaders. And so I had kind of mixed emotions about it, because people were so unforgiving. They would berate them in the mall. They would ride by the church and do all kind of crazy things. Church folks, other pastors, taking their members, and they were saying, we really work with these people and we help these families throughout. I'm pretty sure they helped a whole bunch of families, fed the poor with a ministry like 20,000. They had to do a whole lot of good. People didn't look at that. Nope, not at all. Because they were offended. They took offense. And they would not forgive. And so the whole movie was about them trying to recover. And I don't think at the end of the movie they never did recover. I don't think. Well, when they end the movie, you don't know, but I don't think they recovered. And I think that's what they showed. To me, is what they showed is how unforgiving the body of Christ can be. When forgiveness is the main thing. It's the main thing. And we miss it. We miss it because we get offended. I encourage you to see it. At the end of the movie, I was like silent for a minute. Huh? Yeah. How did you feel about it in the end of the movie?
It surprised me. The ending was not like what you thought it was going to be.
Do you think it was going to have a happy ending?
Better than what it was. Truck off the cliff. It just went off the cliff. Kept on going. Wow.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. I was like, that's it?
And it did mention
At the end.
a little bit about, how things got the way they got.
Which made it even more of an issue, because of how he felt, what he did, or what he supposedly had done. Right. And his thing was, okay, well, I'm better now. I've gone through counseling. My wife is standing with me, and I'm better. And nobody would believe it.
It was like a movie and a documentary about
Yeah. Right.
yeah, it definitely was interesting. I was like, and they had it listed as a comedy.
A comedy.
Yeah, the description. Yeah. I'm like, this is nothing.
I didn't find one funny thing about that.
A couple of things that would kind of have you, chuckle a little bit, but overall,
I tell you what got me most is when she put on the white face, the mime, and it symbolized how pastors' wives have to put on these faces and dance this dance just to please the congregation. You know what I'm talking about. Being it was more than that. But just knowing being a pastor's kid, the dance that the first family has to do in order to keep the members coming. And that is right. I'm glad we don't have that here in the love community, because as soon as you come through the door, oh, this pastor and wife is a little different from the ones I seen on TV. We don't even know who the pastor's wife is. Right, right. I'm gonna be, hey, no, we don't do that here. Nope, no. Yeah, you offend? Hey, don't be. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful church, and because of that, and you guys have heard me say this many times, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fall. I do not want to fail you all. I don't. I don't want to get caught up in nothing. Nothing. Because you guys love us so much. And I just don't. If it even looks like it's going to be an issue, I'm running in the other direction. Because I just don't want to let you all down. And we don't have 20,000. We barely got 20. But I don't want to let the 20 down. I don't. I just don't. And I pray every day and every week that God would help me to be a good leader. That you all could be proud of. You want to end us in prayer? I don't want to. Yeah.